So most of this book is, the whole of the book is told in the form of a statement to a social worker. So the pauses are usually when the social worker is saying something, but we only hear Aicha's perspective, so we never get to hear what the actual questions from the social worker are, which may become relevant. Yup, my name really is Aicha. It's from that song, you know. No, you don't know. Nobody ever knows, but oh well. I know I really look like I should be called Emily or Camille, but I'm called Aicha. Aicha Saint-Pierre. Saint-Pierre's my mother's last name, and Aicha, well, that's because my father's Algerian. Well, okay, not my father, but the guy my mother was with when she got pregnant with me. He stayed for a while, I guess, until he stopped hoping my hair and eyes would turn brown, and my skin. He was nice. He was hot, too. I have a photo of him in my purse. If you want to see it, I can show you sometime. Soon, like when they give me my purse back. They will give me my purse back, right? Because I have important stuff inside it. Will they go through it? Whatever. When my mother left for work, the two of us stayed behind, him and me. I never went to school on those days, didn't even get dressed, and we watched movies all day, stuffed our faces with pizza and fries. The only thing he liked was those super old films like Scarface. I preferred cartoons, but he couldn't stand them, so I ended up getting used to his tastes. And I ended up learning English too. You want to fuck with me? Okay. You want to play rough? Okay. Say hello to my little friend. In the film, Tony Montana says that, then he pulls his gun out and blows everyone up. One time with Hakim, I didn't tell you, his name was Hakim. To start off with, when I was little, I called him Dad. But everyone at school started laughing at me, because he obviously couldn't be my real dad, so I stopped. I think he was hurt by that. He and my mother had a screaming match about it. He listed off all the insults he could think of, and then started yelling in Arabic. But I wasn't really listening. After that, he disappeared for a while, but then he came back. He always came back, except for the time he didn't. That crazy woman had thrown all his stuff out the window, screeching like she was possessed. You should have seen her. She was a fucking mental case. She grabbed me really hard and her nails dug into my arm. "Go to your room and stay there," she yelled. She was seriously afraid I'd leave with him, you know, and I would have if I'd known he was leaving for good. This next section is quite a bit later in the book. One time I showed up at his place and he was cutting meat with some bougie knife I wasn't allowed to touch. Maybe because it was too precious, but probably because it was too sharp. "What are you making?" I asked. "Steak tartare. Have you ever had it?" "No, but it looks like when my mother makes meatballs." "I thought your mother didn't cook." I shrugged. See what I mean about lying being exhausting? Well, there's a good example. I'd forgotten I'd told him my mother didn't cook. When you feel comfortable with someone, you lower your guard and forget your lies. Right then, I decided I'd never tell him another lie. Or at least I'd try. Okay, fine. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, so did you know you eat steak tartare raw? You don't, cook it or anything. It's like sushi but meat. And do you know all the diseases you can get from eating raw meat? You could die. And not just die. Die after suffering like an earthworm that's been chopped in half. Worse, maybe, because I don't even know if earthworms suffer. Anyway, you know what I mean. That's also why I decided not to lie to him anymore. I didn't want to have to eat that crap and maybe die from it, just because I was pretending to be starving to make him feel sorry for me. Anyway, our relationship had moved on from that. "I like it when you play the guitar more than when you cook," I said. "Then my challenge is to make you like both equally." He tried to stuff a chunk of his raw meat into my mouth, and I whacked my face, falling off the stool, trying to get away from him. When I look back at it, it makes me think of those movies where the lovers spray each other with whipped cream and end up fucking in it. Except at the time, I was thinking about the raw meat killing me. Yeah, no, you're right. It's not really the same thing. I also told him what I wanted to do, like when I grow up. I don't really know what I want to be. I used to want to be a whore, but that doesn't seem that fun after all. Mel and Jo are always complaining about clients who disrespect them and everything. Actually, I do want to be a whore, but one who has just one client. A respectful client. One who would ask how my day was and maybe run me a bath. I'd cook for him and look after the house, or maybe we'd have a cleaner. I'd be in love with him, he'd be in love with me, and he'd let me do whatever I wanted, like go to Africa on vacation, or watch old films all day long. We'd have a fabulous life, and I'd never have to worry about anything again. And we'd have a contract that said I was his only whore, and he was my only client, and he had to look after me, and vice versa. It would be the law. But worst case, if that's too complicated, we get married. Baz took a sip of his drink and said, as if to himself, something like, "Gloria Steinem would be proud." I don't know who she is, and I don't give a shit if she'd be proud. I'm not going to tell you her side of the story. This is talking about her mother. You'll just have to ask her, and then you know what'll happen. She's the one you'll believe, because she plays the victim really fucking well. She'll tell you Hakim was just a loser who was pissing his life away and cheating on her and living off her money, and that she was working like 4 people, poor her, just to keep us alive. She'll tell you she never cheated on him, that she left because it couldn't last, and then she fucked someone else, except she won't say fucked. But she was still living with Hakim because she couldn't throw him out, because my mother's a fucking saint. And apparently she still loved him and thought he was going to change, blah, blah, blah. Except then she got pregnant, and here we are. She thought it was Hakim's, but it was the other guy's, who came from I don't even know where, and I don't want to know. I seriously don't give a shit about my real father. Well, okay, I don't give a shit, but every time I see a guy who's blonde like me in the street, and who's around my mother's age, I wonder if he could be the one. I don't know what that does to me. It doesn't do anything to me. It's just a thought that passes. Anyway, see how crazy she is and how she can turn everything to her advantage? You go question her, and you'll see what she says. Exactly what I've just said. Then she'll explain how and why she kicked him out of the house. She told him that if he ever came near me again, she'd call the police. Do you see how sick she is? It still hurts when I think about it. Sometimes I still hope he'll come back and find me, and then we'll go somewhere far away. I don't want to talk about it, about if Hakim really was abusing me and all that shit. I don't want to. At the beginning, I said I'd tell you everything you wanted to know because I knew everyone would just leave me alone after that. I just want to be left alone. Thank you.